Welcome to the Diary of Discovery, the podcast where we delve deep into the human experience of healing and transformation. I'm your host, Jackie Clark, and each week we will sit down with inspiring individuals who have embarked on their own personal journeys of healing and self-discovery. From overcoming trauma to navigating life's challenges, our guests share their raw and honest stories, offering insights, wisdom, and hope to all who tune in. So grab your favorite cup of tea, find a cozy spot, and join us as we uncover the power of resilience, courage, and the pursuit of authenticity. This is the Diary of Discovery. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I am super excited to once again have a lovely guest joining us this week. So I'm going to hand straight over. Do you want to tell everyone who you are and where you are in the world?
Hello, Jackie, and hello, beautiful listeners. I am very honored to be here today to share with you my journey. My name is Reina Hallab. I am the founder of Raw Healing, and I'm the author of When the Divine Speaks, the Heart Listens. And I'm tapping from Montreal, Canada. This is my base, yet I travel whenever I'm invited for speaking opportunities, book signing, and also retreats and healing journeys. So I hand it back to you, Jackie.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining us. I absolutely love just having so many voices that can come on the podcast and share their healing journeys. And I'm already so excited to go through this process with you. So let's go back to the beginning. Let's start where it all started. And could you tell us, like, what was the actual moment for you that made you realize you needed to heal, that made you realize something wasn't right? Like, what was the catalyst that happened?
Well, there are different steps to my catalyzation into the healing journey. I was 16 and um, I underwent actually a brain aneurysm journey. So I had to do a surgery for my brain. And prior to that moment of saying yes, where everyone was worried and everyone was crying and everyone was wondering what might happen, a brain surgery of 9 hours would cost either a life, a loss of any of sensations. Yet it was a moment where something inside of me was laughing, smiling, was happy. I was surrounded by beautiful, like my beautiful family and beautifully embraced and held. And I was saying, don't worry, don't cry. Why are you crying? And I felt maybe in that moment, without me realizing, is that moment when I surrendered fully, trusting whatever was coming in, without questioning, without wondering. The moment they said, you can go under the surgery or not, but by the age of 30, you might have a 30% chance of dying. And that means living like a couch potato, doing nothing. And I'm an athlete. Well, I used to be more of an athlete, and I love to do adventures and discover the world and discover my strength and my body and my mind and my heart. And so I said, of course, I'm going to do the surgery. I'm not afraid of doing anything that's related to that. So I underwent the first surgery. I was born in Lebanon, so that was us driving from north of Lebanon to the capital, Beirut, so that we can do that there. And things started March, April, and May. That's a longer story, but I'm not going to go through the details here. And a few days after the surgery, I was told that, we're happy to have you back. You're fully functional. It's great. Yet they couldn't clip the aneurysm. So we had to do an emergency travel to France, an emergency visa to France. And the day I arrived to the hospital there, and in the morning of the surgery, the doctor comes to me. He's like, "Hey, I'm happy you're here. I'm gonna give you the best gift of your life today." And I said, "Well, yes, it's my birthday." So feeling this revelation of being reborn and owning a name that is named Reina, the way it was written by my parents is Rena. Rena means reborn. I didn't even know that it was that name or that meaning, but I added the I. So the I, if we look at it from our perspective of today, the I is ego. But the moment we let go of the ego, that's when we come back to the self. The self with a big self. And that's one of the programs I'm guiding. It's called Self Framework, Self Mastery Framework. And self goes to soul empowerment, leading to freedom. I trusted my soul. I trusted the guidance. And I trusted all that was coming. For me, that was a moment. And then life happens, going back to Lebanon, having to go through the whole summer and all of that, and then deciding the year after to go back to school, yet everyone was against me continuing in the same level. They wanted me to repeat that level, saying that I've missed 3 months of it and I need to study harder and all of that. So what I felt I did unconsciously is taking in all that energy, focusing on one thing, my success. I had a boyfriend at that time. He kind of let me go, cheating on me with somebody else. And I was furious about everything. I wanted to have a whole year of sabbatical, do nothing, rest. Yet I had to go through it. I'm on, fully on. Like my professors, my colleagues, like my classmates. The director, he's like, come on, Reina, you cannot do it. Repeat the class. It's better. And it was the last year, like the French baccalaureate. So, and I had chosen the math. So it's the hardest and the most focused. And we had to do an exam at the lower level and going up to the last one, which is all of that. And I said, I'm going to do 2 years in one. If I fail, that would be a learning. I'll repeat and I will succeed. And if I succeed, then you know what? Meant to be. And I did. I actually did. The day they asked me to go to check my results, and I'm like, I'm not gonna go there. I'm like, how am I gonna show my face? And then a friend of mine called me. He's like, Reina, come on, come jump, like come to the school, like you've succeeded. And I remember I was sleeping in my bunk bed because we were at our chalet at the beach. And I jumped from up to down, like, Mom, Dad, you're not gonna believe it. Let's drive to school. This is happening. And when I went there, everyone ran towards me and like hugging me, saying, oh my God, Anna, we can't believe it. And everyone was crying. And I'm like, inside of me, I was like, wow, none of you believed in me. I had to believe in myself. Literally, trust. Do all that I needed to do. Take action. And choose to trust and to make it happen. And I did. So for me, in a way, that was a huge catalyst in my journey. But then afterwards, life happened. I went, I came to Montreal, went to school, to the university here after finishing my first degree in Lebanon. And then afterwards, I went to Dubai. Lived there for a few years, and I got a lot of anxiety in Dubai. A lot, like crazy, because people are driving like crazy there, the speed, and along the way, we've lost people on the road. And I was wondering, like, oh my God, if I die, nobody would know. So that was a fear of dying. Yet, I didn't have that fear before at all. So I had to go through this process of understanding where is it coming from. And why am I feeling that way? And I can't say I did a healing journey because I was still not aware of the healing and the processes and all of that. Yet before Dubai and when I was in Montreal for my studies, my late aunt mentioned that you gotta learn Reiki. I'm like, I don't know what that is. She's like, just come, we'll do the attunement and anyways, it's good to take the level one. And she did. And I did. And I was like sometimes using the energy healing with my friends and stuff. And then they would laugh. They were like, oh my God, this is crazy, whatever. And I'm like, I don't even know. Let's just enjoy what it can bring forward. And, after Dubai, I moved back here and I been to different corporate jobs. And it's funny, life is always showing you things in every moment. I went to the job, which I didn't nourish me at all, yet I met the right people to introduce me to my Reiki master. And I went and I did level 2, and that was the first experience. And then the same timing, I was going through this transformation of shifting my food eating habits and lifestyle to plant-based raw food. And that was wow. Like that was an amazing journey here, especially when you start noticing how life is happening with you. At the beginning, people think that life's happening for us, to us. And it's like putting all the blame and the shame and the worry and the guilt and all of that. Yet, when they start shifting their vision and putting in new lenses, this is when literally they start noticing how life is happening for them. And then they go through the process and then they start understanding that this is happening. Okay, wow, thank you. And then the part of the gratitude when it comes in, it's like, oh, thank you for bringing that to me, or thank you for allowing me to meet that person, and thank you for this and thank you for that. I'm like, wow. And this is a whole process, yet sometimes we're not in full notice of it. But then when we choose to observe it clearly and live it really in abundantly, that's when life starts happening with us. And when life happens with us is when you're being guided in every moment. So I was guided to meet my level 2 Reiki master, which eventually I did the master level with her. And that was in the presence of my mother, because my mother, she is an amazing healer. She is so strong and she goes deep in the bones, in the muscles, in everything. And I'm so grateful to have her as my mother. Funny enough and interesting enough, my dad is as well. He's also a level 2 Reiki, and he has a strong energy in his heart hand. That is it brings beautiful uncovering things that you haven't really um, learned or seen. All of this, it's like through the whole journey. So I'm just telling you here and there, yet it's all intertwined. And the beauty about the moment when I did the level 2 Reiki, I was mentioning that I was doing the plant-based food, and it just happened, you know, unconsciously. I was invited to a friend to Boston to meet a friend of mine, and I was with my friend who was vegetarian, and I was the one who would say, "Oh my God, you should eat meat. You should do that. You should do that." Yet when I went to Boston, I was furious. I'm like, "Why are you taking me to the raw vegan restaurant? Like, what am I gonna eat there?" And he's like, "Don't worry about it. You're gonna love it." And literally, something lit in me. Every bite, every from the entree to the dessert. And I come from a family that has been invested in making desserts since 1881. The Lebanese, authentic desserts. That's my last name. And I was like in an awe of how am I able to eat beautiful desserts that has no eggs, no milk, no cheese, no butter. And it was full of healthy conscious superfood and organic ingredients. I was like, whoa. And when I went back to Montreal, another friend who is happened to be vegan, I'm like, wow, when life starts showing you things and your friends start coming into from that perspective, it's like, now that you've experienced raw food, I'm gonna invite you to our restaurant here in Montreal. And which was for me the experience that I was sitting there with her, she was eating and I was eating, and I just had a flash of my life. The flash of what is this like? So, I saw something that I didn't know what it meant, yet I knew what it felt. And it felt magical. And this is the day when they were offering to sign up for a 1 hour information session about raw food. And I just did because I was curious. I wanted to know what it is. And when I went there, literally it was mind-blowing, so amazing about the information, the content, what we're eating in the hospitals, what they feed you. And I was in the hospital and I knew what they fed me. They fed me rabbit in the hospital. They fed me unhealthy food at all. I'm like, if you go to the hospital to being nourished, I mean, nourished through medication and medical system, which, I also honor because I've been there, yet they do not nourish you from the body part. And when you start eating raw food, you're eating literally energy. And that energy is the one nourishing you. Plus, on that day, they were offering like a full day raw food learning class. And I signed up for it. Oh, okay, let me experience. Jackie, I don't know if you trust or understand what I'm trying to say now. It was dark outside, cloudy, the day when I signed up for it to go to the class. I'm like, I don't feel like it. No, I'm gonna sleep. I'm gonna tuck myself in. I'm gonna sleep. Well, my friend, no. Something pushed me out of bed. Literally. And I was like, I had to follow what I've been told, like guided to. Took myself there, spent the whole day. I was in an awe from nut milk to the dips to finally the desserts. This is where we had a 3-layer cake. And he lit up a cashew nut. And my tears started dropping. I was like, I don't understand what it is, but my soul, my body, my heart is feeling nourishment, happiness, and inner joy. That was like, whoa, like I couldn't believe it, literally. And that night, I remember so well, I was invited to one of my friend's birthday here in Montreal. And I called in the cab after I, got ready, wore a dress, and this gentleman, I remember him so well. He was maybe in his late 60s, 70s, long white hair. And on the drive, he's like, so, do you sing? And I'm like, no, why? He's like, but you have a voice. I'm like, a voice for? He's like, I don't know. You're gonna use your voice one day. I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm so far from that. And he's like, and you have a beautiful smile. I'm like, no, I'm not trying to compliment you or hit on you or flirt with you. These are just messages. Well, he didn't say messages, but this is what I perceived them later. And the moment he said, well, you know what? What's your name? I'm like, Reina. He's like, well, you know what? This is my card. Call me whenever you need a cab. Again, life has beautiful mysteries. So the name of the gentleman is Raphael. And I'm like, is that God or the divine or the universe trying to speak to me through one of his archangels? I was like so touched in my heart because I was going through the level 2 Reiki plus the raw food day and receiving that energetical, angelic message was too much, like to really receive all of a sudden. And that story doesn't stop. The moment I opened the door to get into the restaurant, I remember my friend running from the beginning, from the inside of the restaurant all the way to see me. She's like, Reina. I'm like, what? She's like, are you high? And I'm like, why? I don't do drugs, I don't smoke, and I'm so like healthy, and you know me like from a long. It's like, you look different. And I'm like, well, I don't know if you're gonna, I don't know what you're gonna think of me, but I was having raw food all day. And she didn't understand what raw food is, so I had to give her all the information. And I used to love sushi and tartars and all of that. And I remember the restaurants where we were. There's nothing about raw food. So, and I haven't done the whole transformation yet. And so the tartar arrives, and I'm like, whoa, something is off. There's no exchange of energy. And that was an awakening moment again to witness that. And later on, life continued to happen, and so many magic happens. I have tons of stories that I can share with you, all the magical moments, the insights, the moment when you ask and you receive, the moment when you set an intention and without attachment it comes to you, and the moment where you are empowered through life, yet you're kind of stopped questioning, you just live it. So this is the first part of my story, and I don't want to feel like I'm taking all the stage here. So I'm gonna give it back to you, and then we can move on to the second part of the story.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. It's like just, I love hearing things like this. I love, and especially that you were so young when you had that first shift. Like it really changes the whole dynamic of how you look at life and seeing messages and following guidance and like going on that path. I think it's really, really amazing to be able to kind of travel. And it's so interesting because when you look back, it's very easy to see the path. It's very easy to see, like, oh, that linked to that and that meant that. But actually, to just trust it in the moment can be a little bit more challenging and to really kind of open up. And I love the word you used at the beginning was that like surrender, just like surrendering to what's going to be is going to be, it's going to be fine. Like, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. The journey is what it's all about. Like all of those surrenders, I think are so powerful when you're going through a healing journey, regardless of the age you are, regardless of the situation. I think as you go through that cycle, getting to that point where you really kind of know yourself and you trust yourself, it changes the way that life happens around you. Like it changes how life exists. Like I always say to people, it's always about the way that you look at things. Like everyone looks at the same thing, but with a different lens. And when you have the right lenses on, life can look absolutely spectacular. So I think there's always that kind of like magic in that process. And I guess because the journey happened so young and you've given us a couple of different like scenarios throughout your life that have sort of happened, but if you go back to that first one for a moment, like what did you have to accept about yourself or like embrace about who you were to just accept that this is what's happening, everyone else is freaking out but I'm not. Like, do you remember, like, what was that acceptance that you had?
Well, the acceptance is that it was what it was. There's nothing I can change. Literally, there's nothing I can change. And life has shown me different routes, either to do a surgery or to just live the way the doctor said. And I might have been able to live the way the doctor said. Well, the doctor said just don't do a surgery and maybe take the life that I've lived, let's say at my 30s, back in my 16s. And then that's when I would have gone on to raw food or that did my own healing, yet I wasn't aware of it. Thus, I'm doing it right now. It's been 16 years again. It's funny enough about the numbers. But 16 years ago, I learned from the doctor saying that this person, I'm not going to name her because I am out of that, has a brain tumor. And I was like, interesting enough. Okay, what kind of road this time I want to choose? So I've chosen to live free from it and to take my own journey through the healing, through the raw food, through intense, deep moments of awareness, of confidence, and of trust. And having this beautiful faith and belief inside of me that the right thing will happen. And the ending route can be either a miracle, the way that many people live, and or a surgery. Which means that if I undergo surgery, I still have another layer to work on. And it's not the end of the world. And I'm not afraid. I have zero fear in my life because I'm trusting. I trust because, whatever will happen will happen. I have no control over it. And why would I want to control it? I can make choices, yes. Conscious choices, yes. And take the path that I feel right with, feel more in alignment with. Because life is all about alignment, coherence, and resonance. What do you resonate with? Do you feel this harmony with? And that's how you're led. And especially when you don't let your mind master you. You master your mind. And this is when you observe your thoughts, yet you don't get engaged. Because the moment we get engaged in our thoughts, we go out of our own alignment. And so every moment when we pause, we breathe, we come into the awareness of the moment. And there is only this moment. There's no yesterday, there's no tomorrow, there's now. What do I choose for myself in this moment? And that's how you play your own symphony from that note. So this is a way to express to everyone who's listening here. Every day, every now, choose your note. Authentically and trustingly. And with a clear intention. And I will add, with no attachment, with no expectations, and with no wonders. Just let it be. Because the moment you let it be, it will come to you. The moment you attach and you look and you try, that means you are pushing it further because you are still in control. When you're not in control, all the invisible will be visible. And I'm stating that from an experience and not just from a reading or, because I believe that beautiful books are out there. People have lived so many stories. Yet, live your story. Unfold your own path. Your story matters as much as all the masters out there, all the gurus out there, and all the people out there. because you know yourself and you have experienced life. And your experience will lighten someone's heart to live their own experience. So be expressive, tell your story, and find the trust within yourself to always have this beautiful confidence in your heart, because your heart speaks, not your mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's like, I know that for people who are listening and are not at this point in their journey, this can be a really hard concept to get your head around. It can feel really, really challenging to let go of the outcome, especially in the society that we're raised in, where everything is results driven, everything is climbing the ladder, ticking the box, doing the thing, keeping up with the Joneses. Like, we've heard all the sayings, we know all of the things. And I think it is really, really hard for people to actually not only understand but live this concept of letting go, of just being present, of just being in the moment, of actually surrendering to the path and the purpose that you're here for, and just almost kind of just going along for the ride. And, like, yes, you still make your conscious choices. Yes, you still have to engage in the journey, like, of course, all of those things. But I do think that it's really challenging for people, and a lot of people will probably feel really triggered by this concept and instantly want to be like, no, that's not possible. Like, no, that's not how people live life. No, like, that won't get me to the result that I want. Like, it's very easy to push this away when it's never happened. You don't understand it. You've never seen signs or received messages. And for a lot of people, they won't receive messages because they don't even know what they're looking for. Like, they don't even know what is possible. And I think that that is something that is really powerful in this kind of process. So I guess, like, as you were going through this process, what what was your biggest, like, perception change around about the world and what's possible and what you thought life should be like to, how life is now? Like, what was the big shift for you?
Okay. Well, one, what I would like to bring forth for the audience is that don't be hard on yourself. Really. And don't wait for an event to happen or an accident to happen. You have a conscious choice to make. Because the moment you choose to make that conscious choice, whether saying, in this moment, life, show me your magic. That's the mantra I wrote in my book. Because life is showing you magic, yet maybe you're not wanting to see it because you have chosen not to. You are chasing something. And I would ask you not to chase something. Take a moment and write down these steps. Today, I choose to accept myself. Today, I choose to embrace what comes in. Today, I choose to notice every details in my life, in my day. So I'm going to give an example. If you find that you've been driving the car and there's a lot of red lights, pause. Ask yourself, what's happening within me? Am I too much in my mind worried about if I'm going to arrive on time or not? Or am I going to just say, you know what, I'll take this moment and pausing at every red light. And I'll take deep breath. And this is when you trust that the moment will arrive when you get there on time. Or even if you're not on time, there is a reason why you were not arriving on time. Maybe an accident just happened and you needed to just not be part of it. Or maybe it can be something else. Do we really need to know the details? Not really. What we can do and choose to do is by absorbing that moment and embracing it. Yet sometimes you leave your home and you're driving, and then you're feeling good already in the morning. You feel your heart is open and you feel good. And your day goes slowly and smoothly. And all the lights are green because the inside of you is open. There's no struggle, there's no anxiety, there's no worries. So I trust that every audience here have lived both. The days where things were flowing nicely, beautifully, happy, inner joy, all of that. And the days where it's anxious, is worry, is fear, and all of the above. Yet, the moment you choose to leave your home, the moment you open your eyes, just say thank you. Thank you, I woke up today. It's a gift that you've woken up. Not many do. So by taking that conscious choice of gratitude for waking up is already a great accomplishment. You know, in life, there's not a lot to do. It's like I have to do this and do that to arrive there. No. Those small steps is a doorway for many. Just start with a small step. Thank you, I'm alive. I woke up today. The moment you put your feet on the ground, just take this time to feel that you are really on the ground. And clear intention. Today, my day is gonna be perfect. Without attaching ourselves to the perfection of it. Because perfect means I'm gonna be able to see what I haven't been able to see. And write down everything you witness. When you come back at home at night, or even if you don't leave your home, doesn't matter. Reflect on every note or name that you've mentioned. And it can be like, I had a flood at home. Or it can be, oh, I met someone I haven't seen in a long time. Or I thought about somebody and that somebody called me. Or I was supposed to take my plane today, yet it was canceled. How did you feel in that moment? Did you accept that it was canceled for your best interest? Or were you frustrated because you should have been on the plane? And then, what if you are saved in every step you are taking? Just being aware that you are saved every moment. That's already a big load of weight leaving your shoulders. So these are really tiny steps because you are 1, accepting, 2, embracing and opening, and 3, being grateful. You know, at least I will leave the audience with these things, and I would really invite them to know that they are never alone. Never alone.
Absolutely.
And I am here. My name is Reina, and I'm ready to open my, WhatsApp or my DMs to guide and be there for them.
Mm.
We are here for each other.
Mm.
When I'm helping you or guiding you, I'm also guiding myself because it's all one. It's all connected.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's really like the whole purpose of creating the podcast platform was exactly this, of having that space where people don't have to feel alone, where they can hear other people's stories. And I think for a lot of people, when they're going through a healing journey, it's nice to be able to almost use other people's words and language to describe how you feel or the magic that's happened to you or what is going on around you, because sometimes it's really hard to put words to or understand what's going on when you're going through a healing journey. And sometimes there's moments where it doesn't feel good and it doesn't feel aligned and it doesn't feel easy, and to be able to tap into somebody else's belief in that moment can actually be really, really beneficial. So
Mhm.
I think that there's real beauty in that guidance, that community, that ability to listen to other people's stories, to you know speak to other people, to work with people, like however you're engaging with people. Like I think there's a really yeah, like a real beauty in that kind of journey. And I guess like from everything that you've said, like from a very young age, it seems like you kind of had this down. Like you were very accepting of life and how life was sort of being presented. Do you remember any moments where you did think like this is just so hard? Like why isn't this working, as you were kind of going through your journey?
Well, I'm gonna speak a little bit before what happened, um, because I was a person who didn't know that I was loved, so I was lacking love, and I was asking for attention, and I was asking to be the center of the attention, and the words that I was hearing egoistic. So there's a lot of that was engraved in me or conditioned in me that I had to do the whole process of clearing it and moving from selfish to selfless and moving to am I loved to self-love and moving to attention to intention. So yes, there's a process. I might have been born and I had those incidents at one point when I was 16. Yet my full awareness didn't happen before the age of 30. It's not like, oh my God, I had that moment and that moment was brilliant, because I forgot that moment after it happened. And then when I woke up to it was when I was 30, around the 30, 29. Actually, when the doctors mentioned about the tumor, that's when it light up. I'm like, no, not again. No. I don't wanna to get my parents involved again. They've been through a lot. I don't want to tell my family about this. I kept it a bit for myself, but I do remember. I was so frustrated, called one of my best friends here, and I said, let's go. We want to have drinks. I was so frustrated. I was so angry. I was so unhappy that why again? Why me? I opened my head once. Why another time? No, that's not the life I want. And I drank so much with my friend. I'm like, I am denying this. That's not what I want to have in my life. And then life started showing me other things, how I can move through it differently. But in that moment, especially when I went to the doctor and there was one of the residents and trying to do all you know, the things that usually the doctor tests you with. And I'm like, okay, I know you're a student, but you don't have to do this. I've been through that since I was 16 and I do MRIs every year. So not now. He's like, well, Reina, I can't say anything. The doctor will. And when the doctor showed up and he gave me those information, I'm like, no way. No way. I couldn't cry. I couldn't feel. I blocked everything out. I called my friend and I was saying I went out on a terrace, I started drinking just to numb myself, fully numbing myself. And it took me few years before I learned more about raw food and then the whole switch. That was because in 2011, that the transition started to happen in that moment. And that's when I started, like the people start coming into my life who were guiding me and teaching me. It was marvelous. Like I remember, I was taking, I was working with a company, um, and sorry, a beautiful memory is I was invited to a trust uh, workshop with that company. And the guide, who was an amazing business mentor for me later, and he passed a few years ago. I'll share with you the story. So we went into that room where every single chair was, put in a very weird way. And you come in, you sit down, and then during the whole process, you're asked to either group yourself and answer a few questions and all of this. And something in my heart said, "Oh my God, I love this. This is amazing." Like to, facilitation and learning about this. And I went to him at the end. His name is Donald. I'm like, "I love this. This is an amazing exercise. Like, I want to learn more." And he looks at me. He's like, "You." I'm like, "What?" He's like, "Did you know what you did?" I'm like, "No, what did I do?" He's like, "Why did you choose to sit in that chair?" Somewhere inside of me, I kind of felt that I chosen a right place, and it happened to be the middle of the room. Yet the chairs were dispersed, like, there's no front or back, there's just different ways. I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And he's like, "Did you know?" I don't know what he sees or what he saw. And he's like, like from your top of your head, you have like antennas. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, all of this is new to me. So I don't even understand what that is. He's like, "Yes, you were managing people's energies in the space." What? Like, no, no, no. Like, I don't even understand what that is. Like, no way. He's like, well, apparently you don't know about yourself. I'm like, "I don't know about myself. What?" He's like, "Let's start talking." And I start taking all his workshops. He taught me to become a facilitator. The last event that I took was the Leadership Engagement Forum. And in that moment, I took a stand because for many years and many people and friends who are around me, they all say, "Oh my God, Reina, you're special. Oh my God, Reina, you're this and you're that." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm just me. I'm just a human. I'm just normal." And I needed to take that stand specifically to ask, I want to see myself in the eyes of others. Because I don't know what the others saw in me because I didn't know who I am. I didn't really tap into it. Yet that was an amazing experience to learn that this human or this soul is important because unconsciously we think that in order to feel worthy, we need to do everything for the other, yet we don't do anything for ourselves. If you want to feel enough, you need to please everybody around you, but you never please yourself. So a lot of these were a lot of learning lessons. And that moment that I took that stand and I said, I want to see myself in the eyes of others, this is when, with different things that happened, I held a retreat in Costa Rica. And then I started learning about myself so much. I was like, whoa, who is that person? I started writing since 2011, but I didn't know what kind of writing I was, putting into together. And then what happened there was magical. That's for another day and another story. But to go back quickly, after the leadership forum, I went to this the raw vegan restaurant, and I was having a nice conversation. And it was amazing how sometimes you are meeting specific people in your life to connect you with another specific people in your life. And then the whole circle starts. I traveled with Hippocrates Wellness for 3 months to help out, yet I didn't even know who they were. And then they are all about raw food and reversing diseases and all of that. And because in that moment, in that restaurant, after the leadership forum, I invited a gentleman to sit with us, who I've seen in that restaurant for many times because I spent most of my salary at that restaurant. And then I paid the bill. And he couldn't understand that he was actually being invited. And that I didn't know that. My friend told me afterwards because I had to leave. And then he was the one who invited me to the conference of Hippocrates that was happening in Montreal. And then I don't know how that connection happened afterwards. And then I traveled with them. And at the end of the 3 months, they said, Reina, would you do an event in Montreal? And I did. Without questioning my budget, without questioning anything. I just followed what was just being present. And I did a 1 day supposedly event that happened to become 3 days. Natural medicine for mind, body, and spirit. The vendors, the speakers, it was amazing. And I was like, wow, so when you are being led to follow something, you just do it. I don't plan, I improvise. I speak my heart. I don't think. Because the moment I think, I get into my ego. And if I go into my ego, that means there's no space for spaciousness and awareness and consciousness. Because when the ego speaks, it's like the I, me. But there's no I or me. There's the light that moves through me, that speaks the voice of truth. And when that voice of truth is speaking, it's connecting to the hearts. And so when that journey happens, you start observing and seeing. One day, quickly, I was at home, and something within me said, "Open the TV." I was on the phone with my sister, and I'm like, "Okay." I opened the TV, and I just saw myself on TV. I'm like, I was talking to myself. I'm like, Nora, I just hold on. I am on TV. And then apparently it was a station that I don't usually put one. And then there was this me with someone who now is my best friend. We were just chatting because she was giving a presentation during an event. And I was like, oh my God, like, what is that moment of insight to feel, to open that television, to not even changing channels? That channel by itself just came out, and then I was there. And then that lady was with me. So to take you a little bit further in that journey, the moment I was in Costa Rica doing the whole retreat thing, I was telling that specific story to someone who was on that trip with us. And then on the way back from that walk and talk, I said, let's just pass by to this store to have some ice cream. And guess who was there? The lady who was with me on television. And I was just telling the story. And that lady wasn't yet my friend. We just knew each other, but we were not like really close. So I didn't even know she was in Costa Rica. I wouldn't even know she was even in Montezuma. And I didn't even know that she was in that specific restaurant where I was passing to pick up an ice cream. That guy looks at me, he's like, what did you just do? I'm like, did you just form her in that space, like from Montreal to Costa Rica? I was in an awe. When those moments and magic happens, you cannot not see them. They are in your face, you know? And then going back a little bit, there was like, because I was spending a lot of money at the restaurants of raw food, I said, Reina, you need to start cooking at home and preparing the food at home. Otherwise, no, the budget cannot keep holding. And I didn't have a nice kitchen. My kitchen was in a mess. I didn't like it. I'm renting the space. So I set an intention of I would like to have my raw food made at home. That was the clear intention. I didn't know it was a clear intention even because that was many years ago. But now like I'm verbalizing that in that way. Yet in that moment, I just said, "Oh my God, I love if my kitchen was renovated." And I forgot about it. 2 days after, I went to sign the lease, and the lady was like, how about I come to check your place? I'm like, if you want to, I don't know. But I didn't even mention nothing, zero. She came up, and I totally forgot about my insight or my intention. And she looks at my kitchen, is like, oh my God, you have a really old kitchen. I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, would you like a renovation? I was like, is this real? And she did. 3 days in, 3 days out, I opened the blog right away, March the 12th, 2000. 12, I think. And that's when I started challenging myself to write the recipes that I was taking. Not seeking followers, because I really don't have followers. I didn't mention it much. And I named it Raw Love Recipes. Because I wanted to bring the love. And I want to create my own recipes of life. And I wanted to use the right ingredients. So when you read my book, there's a lot of that in the book, the different quotes, the different proverbs, and even on the blog that is still there, yet it's not being fully nourished. It's just funny when you start noticing this, and when you see that when you ask, you shall receive. Yet when you learn to ask without expecting, and when you learn to ask without waiting for something to happen, it just happens on its own. You know, and I have all these stories, I have so many of them. And one day I'm thinking about putting them all into a book, because magic happens, yes. Miracle happens, yes. And if you are in a place of darkness, embrace that darkness because it's part of you. It's the teaching that is showing itself to you to embrace it, and that will help you elevate. Do not be afraid. Yet, do not get engaged in the mind talk. Because what stops you is your mind. Don't give it the power. Trust your heart. And it's an exercise. It's like you're going to the gym. You want to go to the gym to tune up a muscle. You're also doing the same, tuning up your heart. And even if it takes time, don't be hard on yourself. This is the number one lesson. Do not be hard on yourself. And if something is not working the way you want, accept it. Because something better is going to happen. And trust that something will happen eventually, yet do not wait for it. Because the moment you wait for it, you push it further. Yeah. I'll just share one last story. And that left my friend in an awe. And that happened lately. We were swimming in a lake. So darkness under. She was wearing a golden bracelet. A very meaningful one for her. Suddenly, apparently, I was a bit far. She dropped it in the ocean, in the lake, and she was a bit furious about how important that is for her and how she wanted it back. And I had goggles, and I said, "I'm gonna go in." I went in, couldn't see anything, came out. Gave her the goggles. She went in, couldn't see anything. She came out, and she said, "Reina, you know what? I accept." That's number one word. I accept that the lake is the new owner, that bracelet has been offered to the lake, and then I accept that I'm not getting it back. That stops there. But Reina here, I'm a bit kind of overconscious about things. I said to the energy, fine. If you are meant to come back, let me find you. Or in other words, show yourself to me if you're meant to come back. Put the goggles again. Went in, not even for a second. It was glowing in the water. And picked it up and gave it to my friend. She was in an awe. It's like, Reina, I don't know how did you do it? What just happened? I'm like, I just asked the universe if it's meant to come back. And apparently it did. So yes, please do trust. Please let go of all the conditioning that you have been wearing and chaining yourself with for your lifetime. When you do listen to this podcast, whether you reached out or not, that's not what I'm looking for. What I would really love in this moment, and through the voice and through the stories, is to plant the seed of love in your heart. That seed will stay forever within you. Yet the moment you choose to nourish it, that's when your own seed will start seedling. And that's the more you nourish, the more you embrace, the more you love, the more you feel that connection. The seedlings will have stronger roots. And then when the roots go stronger in the earth, trust that your trunk and your branches will expand even bigger and larger. And the more you nourish and you do the inner work and then the inner transformation and then all of that, because it will show itself to you, trust that your tree will blossom. And when your tree will blossom, it will transform into fruits. And that's where you feel mature enough to share even more of your whole journey. And remember that those fruits have many seeds. And you will be the one also planting the seed in people's heart. It's a ripple effect. It's a conscious movement into opening the hearts of many by starting with yours. So are you ready to take this moment to really listen, not only to what we're speaking here, but to listen to your heart, listen to your soul, listen to your body, and observe your mind. It's not about listening to the mind, it's about observing the mind, listening to the heart, and feeling how your body is reacting through the whole process. You are the question and you are the answer. The answer is not to be found elsewhere. What you're seeking is seeking you. And then I'll leave you with where the attention goes, the energy flows. And it all starts in your heart.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Like, it's been so beautiful talking to you. And, as always, we'll put Instagram and links to your book and, all of the good things below in the show notes of the episode. But yeah, I think it's really beautiful for people to be able to sit with that question of, like, are they ready to accept that love? Are they ready to love themselves? Are they ready to open themselves up to all of the wonderful things that are actually available to them if they stop pushing, stop chasing, stop demanding the result, and stop trying to make it work on their own timeline. I think there's a real beauty in just letting things be and existing in the world that is around you. So thank you so much for spending this time with us, for giving such beautiful words to this process and sharing your story, and so many amazing moments that just show people what's possible and what can happen when you actually live your life in alignment. So yeah, thank you so much for being a guest with us today. Thank you for listening to another inspiring episode of The Diary of Discovery. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and share it with your friends, family, or anyone else you think might benefit from the stories of hope and transformation. Your feedback means the absolute world to us, so please take a moment to leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your reviews help us to reach even more listeners and continue to bring this meaningful content to the world. Until next time, remember, your healing journey is valid. You are never alone, and you have the strength to get through this. Keep shining bright, and we'll see you in the next episode of The Diary of Discovery.